It's all about creating the conversation. Arrow.net, ARROE.net. We are unplugged and totally uncut with Kendall Smith.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. How many people have reached out and thanked you for this book?
Probably 24 now, which it almost seems premature, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
Oh, my God. I mean, and more than ever, and I don't know if it's because we were in lockdown for 2 years, but I am seeing a lot of rookie fathers out there. And I think the thing that really captured my attention is that you say 1 in 4 men becoming parents did not have a father figure.
They did not. And the hard number is when you look at children raised in the 90s, there are an audience of 19 million men today who are raised in a home where the father was absent, which is mind-blowing. And Rookie Father is here as an advice book to help provide suggestions on how to succeed as a parent.
And you do it in a way that doesn't embarrass the man or the woman that's reading the book.
I try not to. I mean, look, I made this super personal. I share stories that some very private friends of mine are like, I don't know what you're doing, Kendall, but this is pretty private stuff you're sharing. I don't know how else to do it because I kind of lived through it myself. And this book was inspired in part by how I got through that first year of parenting. And I expanded beyond that to kind of add tips and suggestions, all the advice I had received that was really applicable, and I try to make it actionable in chapters and in a format that's easy to get in and get what you need and get out.
I didn't get to grow up to be with my father. And so I think that's the reason why this book hits me hard, because I wish I could have had a book like this as I was growing into age and stuff like that, because my daughter came to me when she was 14 years old. So I was just that guy that was living in her mother's house.
Yep. Yeah, that's to the book. I mean, in some ways, and you said you're a father of a 14-year-old?
No. When she came into my life, no, she's 43 now. But but when she came into my life, she was 14. So I actually got to watch a child growing up through her children. So my grandchildren were the closest thing that I ever had to having a child.
Oh wow! Well, then you know from firsthand experience I'm sorry you grew up without a father, but you know when you become a parent yourself, you need to do some soul searching, and the first section in the book is called Your Foundation, and that's, address your demons, address how you were raised and dig into it and address it with responsibility, and then look for sources of inspiration. And you need to tell yourself and remind yourself that a child is a clean slate. No matter what you went through, it's irregardless when it comes to the life of your child. If you're there, if you're involved, if you're present for them as much as you can be, you're going to do better than anything you experienced as a child, which is meaningful. How
important are daddy dates? And the reason why I bring that up is because one of the essential jobs that I picked up during the lockdown was I went to a grocery store because I needed to be with people. And I am seeing a tremendous amount of men with their children. My dad would have never been caught dead in a grocery store.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of just being an active and present parent. I mean, if it's not grocery shopping, it could be just walking the dog. It could be having a catch. If they're super young, take it to the playground. Let them engage with other kids, which I highly encourage to help with their social skills. And the best part is that when you form that bond and you have that relationship established and you build upon that, when they get older, then you could do road trips. I took my son up to upstate New York and Lake Champlain in Vermont this past summer. It was a great time. It was two bros on the road. It was fantastic. And it's just, that's stuff you can look forward to. And that's just gold when you're, in the throes of parenting. It's exciting.
Well, what's really cool about Rookie Father is that you are repainting the American portrait. In other words, it's not just a father and a son throwing a baseball or a football. You're opening up the door for men to do exactly what you're saying. Let's just go be friends somewhere, man. Let's go out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that fatherhood's evolved, and I think now, the other thing that we need to think about is that when you're raised in the 70s and 80s like I was, and there were so many families divorcing, that had consequences. And with this generation, I mean, it only takes one generation to fix a major wrong in our society. Mm-hmm. When you look at kids that are raised in single-parent homes, they are 10 times more likely to use drugs and alcohol. They're 9 times more likely to drop out of school. So committing yourself to being an engaged father, you're giving your kid that much of a better chance compared to those that are only raised by single parents. So I'm a big proponent of marriage, a big proponent of sticking it out, and doing what's right for your kids.
Where were you at when this idea came to you? Because, I mean, it's such a brilliant idea that should have been happening long before we are in this moment of now. How did it come to you?
It came at 5:30 in the morning. My son was a year old, and I was looking for a new writing project. I was brainstorming, and I had done 3 novels at that point. And I just decided, like, I actually watched a video that Ricky Gervais produced.
Yeah.
And a short little YouTube video, and he basically says, write what you know. And I'm like, you know what? Like that, I love fatherhood. I like what I'm doing. After a year, my child was still alive, so my wife and I are doing something right. And what kind of advice can I convey to guys that are in the same scenario? And then when you do the research and you find 19 million guys are in the same boat entering their parenting stage of their lives now, maybe it's a project that was worth pursuing. So I went full board on it.
Even in the world of comedy, being a dad used to be the thing that a lot of comedians would make jokes over because, I mean, I remember Gallagher throwing a gigantic anchor out there saying, I'm a dad. And it's like, oh, I don't want to be that. If that's the way he feels about being a dad, that's what's great about Rookie Father is that you're saying, yeah, be proud of being a dad.
You should, and I think that the media stereotypes is diminished a bit, but when you look at Griswold, and what really gets under my skin are commercials that make fun of dads. Like, enough's enough. Mm-hmm. And I have a chapter called, shun the idiot media dad when you see it portrayed on TV. And if you see a commercial where the dad's being a Nimrod, you should go onto Facebook or go onto social, tag that brand, and complain and say, I'm not buying your product anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll tell you, and every brand watches social media like a nurse watches a dying man's pulse. Like, they watch that like a hawk, and if you complain, they will get the message.
Yeah.
What should get it.
When did you decide that you were going to put it in there and with some interaction with your readers and stuff like that? Because it's almost like an adult book for, like a think and do book.
Yeah, I would say what I started to do is I did a brainstorm on what kind of advice I could convey. I thought about how I was going to convey it. So all the chapters, it's 131 chapters, but each one is only 1 to 2 pages, and that's the fitting for how men read advice-driven content. And then I kind of started to spread out and talk to people and what worked for you, and then it just kind of acclimated to where there was enough content so that I could break it down into different sections. So you start with your foundation and being honest with yourself and setting yourself up for success. The next section is your wife. Like, how can you be a better partner? How can you communicate more effectively? And acknowledging that you're on the most important team that you'll ever be on when your spouse and you have a child. That's the parents' team is like the biggest priority you'll ever have as a team of a member of a team. And then it kind of grew from there. So I packaged it in a manner that guys can read sections that are relevant, skip others, come back to it. So again, that playbook strategy, it's not really existed yet, and I hope it takes off.
Absolutely, we hope it takes off. I hope you get a website where people can come to you at all times, and you can be that that teacher, that leader, that voice for so many fathers that are going through the rookie stages of fatherhood.
Well, it's out there. It's therookiefather.com.
I love it.
So I've got, it's been out I've been working on it for a couple of years. Just new articles. You can find the endorsements. You can find links to find retailers that are selling the book. And then I have some of my passions in there. Like, I have a ton of cooking articles I've written, and it's a big thing of mine. I recommend every dad when you have to take on a new skill set to manage the family. Go cook. It's the most rewarding thing in the world.
Please come back to this show anytime in the future, Kendall. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you. Great talking to you today.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
All right. Thank you. You too.